Hi, I'm Gary, and boy, have I got a story to tell you. And it's all about three ridiculously simple steps I accidentally stumbled upon that instantly and permanently banished my humiliating cold sores after nothing else worked. And upon its discovery, I have since helped 8,528 others to erase their cold sores permanently. What's more, these steps that I discovered doesn't involve drugs, creams, or any other expensive treatments. If you're willing to invest just a couple minutes of your time, you'll discover the all-natural breakthrough cure for cold sores that doctors and big pharmaceutical companies are praying you don't learn about. Trust me, this will be the most enlightening 10 minutes of your life. What you're about to watch is going to shock and amaze you. But first, let me start off by saying that I know what you're going through. My name is Gary Townsend, and up until the last 2 years I suffered immensely from nasty, painful, and embarrassing cold sores, herpes simplex type 1. It was a miserable time, a time where my embarrassing cold sores seemed to rule my life and completely robbed me of any possible speck of happiness and all hope of possibly being able to lead any kind of a normal life. So believe me when I say, I know what it's like to lie awake at night anxious about your cold sores. I know the frustration of taking prescription drugs and getting little or no relief. I know what it's like to have skin that's always drying, itching, and peeling from the harsh side effects of chemicals and drugs. I know what it's like to dread looking in the mirror for fear of what you might see. I know the feeling of wanting to avoid the world because of the embarrassing spot on your face. I know what it's like to feel as if your life revolves around when your next breakout will be, but most of all, I know what it's like to be utterly desperate for a solution. But then one day, I came upon a shocking discovery that would end up saving my life and my sanity by completely stopping my cold sore outbreaks and the constant embarrassment. Man, I hate cold sores. I've been getting them ever since I could consciously remember. How I got the virus, I don't know. One thing's for sure, though. Having cold sores literally changed my entire life. Now, the reason I say this is because, in retrospect, cold sores pretty much controlled my life. Whenever it decided to make its presence known, my life completely shut down for the 2 weeks it was on my face. It's been especially hard to deal with in college. I often missed a good 2 weeks of classes when I experienced an outbreak. I might be crazy, but for some reason, it seemed like these bastards purposely chose the worst possible time to attack. I mean, it's college, for Pete's sake. And part of being in college is meeting people, and socializing, and flirting with girls, right? And it's kind of hard to do those things when you're having frequent cold sores attacks. Imagine everyone seeing the cold sores on your face for 2 weeks. It's embarrassing. Nevertheless, I managed to keep the outbreaks relatively under control by avoiding stress and preventing myself from becoming too exhausted. I eventually graduated from college, and I remember patting myself on the back for being able to manage my condition all the way through college. Not long after, I began my first career in sales. I was excited and looking forward to the challenge. I was working long hours, typically 10 to 12-hour days, and while I was enjoying it, I began to become overwhelmed. I did my best to manage my stress levels, but the cold sores were back with a vengeance. They began to affect my performance at work, and to make matters worse, I was in a sales career that required me to give presentations consistently to colleagues and to prospects or clients. And being a dude, obviously I couldn't apply some makeup tricks that women could in an attempt to cover them up. Eventually things just got so bad, I was forced to resign from my position. And if you think that's bad, wait till you hear this one. The day I will never forget. As bad as everything else was, nothing comes close to the day that I received the most embarrassing and painful phone call of my life. It was 2 days after New Year's Eve, and I had just hosted a large family get-together at my house. The whole family was there, relatives, little children. It seemed like everything went perfectly until I heard the painful news. Little Jimmy, my nephew, had just come down with an ugly, painful cold sore. Now, normally this wouldn't have been the biggest deal, but then a dreadful memory entered my mind. At the party, I actually remembered that Jimmy had sneaked a sip out of my cranberry vodka. At the time, I had forced myself to forget that it happened, but the horrible news had just arrived. I had passed the virus on to my sweet little nephew. I had no idea what to say to my sister. This was literally the worst moment of my life, and I was in pure hell. I mean, how the heck was I supposed to explain that my sister's son had contracted herpes simplex type 1 from me? None of it mattered. Anyhow, the family knew I was the only one with the virus. It couldn't have been anyone else. Paralyzed with guilt and shame, I hung up the phone, and these days I almost never talk to my sister. Facing her and Jimmy now is just too much for me to stomach. While this was certainly the lowest point of my life, and the most horrible event of my life, it was also the turning point for me. I had finally had enough with cold sores, and I decided to take my fate into my own hands. I would become my own cold sore expert, and to do everything in my power to come up with some solution, any solution that would get rid of these nasty things once and for all. For the next 6 months, I spent several hours every day going through every single book that contained information on cold sores and herpes simplex type 1. If it was related to cold sores, I ate it up. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Basically, what I discovered was that conventional treatments do absolutely nothing to fight the root cause of cold sores. They were never designed to cure or address the root cause. Instead, they merely try to patch up the problem and reduce the severity. You see, what it really boils down to is the fact that you and I have been lied to. Here's the deal. Whether or not you like it, the drug industry are in it to make money, and that includes doctors. And while your health is a large priority, the fat cats in the industry and even the doctors themselves hope and pray that you will never discover this information. The truth is, there's a whole world of little-known, all-natural remedies out there, many of which have been proven to cure many of today's most pressing ailments. You just never hear about them. Why? Because if people knew about these things, the drug industry would lose billions of dollars. Thousands of doctors would soon be practiceless. You see, during my research, I made a shocking discovery. The all-natural, 3-step approach that directly targets, fights, and kills the herpes simplex 1 virus itself, one that Europeans had been using for centuries. And it all made so much sense, because each of the 3 steps involved were specifically designed to fight, weaken, and ultimately kill off the HSV-1 virus, eventually sending it into full-blown remission, to cut off its oxygen supply, so to speak, making it possible for the virus to continue living inside your body. Now, after applying this approach, the cold sores I had at the time healed in an unheard of 3 days. All itching and burning completely stopped. I haven't had a single outbreak in over 3 years. All in all, I got my life back. And so have these people. Larry S. from Rochester, New York. This is crazy, but your simple little system is working for me. No idea how, but who cares? This is awesome. My best friend actually told me that she noticed how much happier I was. How could I not be? The outbreaks have stopped. I can't thank you enough. Or Elaine M. from Whittier, California. I almost gave up on getting help for my stubborn cold sore problem. Then I found your site, Gary, and now I want to scream at my doctor. Your method is so simple, and it works like nothing else. Since following your method, I haven't had a single cold sore in over 9 months. It's absolutely incredible, and not having to worry about embarrassing cold sores erupting on my face is absolutely priceless. And there's a lot more where that came from, I assure you. You see, the reason why my ebook has been selling like hotcakes is because my program is not another so-called superpower cream or lotion. There is absolutely no surgery or medical treatment involved. It's not a drug, prescription or non-prescription, and it's not a supplement. Instead, you get a 100% proven and easy 3-step system that can be put into action in just minutes, and that will immediately start combating the HSV-1 virus, weakening and flat-out killing it, so that very soon it becomes too weak to override your immune system. This is when you will experience a complete remission and total elimination of cold sores from your life. So what do you say? You ready to get your life back? The way I see it, You got two choices right now. You can forget everything you've just learned on my video and continue living with your unrelenting cold sores. Or you can invest a mere $37 and discover what the medical industry doesn't want you to know and get your life back. You won't pay $100, you won't pay $50, you won't even pay $39. If you order now, you can get instant access to the Banish Cold Sores ebook for the absurdly low price of only $37. To make this deal even sweeter, I'm going to completely take away every last bit of risk associated with the purchase of this product with my 100% total satisfaction 60-day money-back guarantee. So, what are you waiting for? You have everything to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. Eliminate cold sores for good and get your life back.